Hey guys, welcome to Unleash Podcast, brought to you by Hidden Gem, where we talk about how to unleash your hidden potential. I'm your host, Yuri Diorgis, and we have a great episode for you today featuring Henry Thomason. Thank you for being here today, Henry.
Thank you.
Before we jump into today's topics, we would like to invite you to subscribe to this podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Also, you can find all the episodes in our Hidden Gem website, hiddengem.net. And if you live in the area and you have not visited Hidden Gem yet, you can always grab a free trial pass on our website, hiddengem.net. With that, let's get it started here with Henry. Henry, how are you doing, my friend?
So far so good. Just kind of finishing up the week and got off work and got to a computer to get with you.
All right, cool. So let's start from the beginning. How did you start get really interested in powerlifting? When did you start that?
Yeah, I started lift like in Texas. Everybody does, high school football. So lift weights during the off season. I actually started my own high school powerlifting team. So yeah, I started my own team in high school and my senior year in high school in 1997 at Powerlifter High School. Got to read the way it works is you have a qualifying meet, and then you have a regional meet and a state meet, similar to like track and field. Ended up bombing out at regionals and kept on lifting. Now I ended off going to Kansas, a place called Tabor College, to play college football. Did it for about 2 years, got homesick, came back, and then started lifting at a junior college and did the same thing again. Started another powerlifting team. I won two college nationals. Actually, I lifted all 4 years of college nationals. Won three of them. Got best lifter at two of them. That was up till about 2002, and then I had to start paying back college loans. I had to get a real job. So from say 2002 to about 4 or 5 years, I got back in about 2007, 2008, and I started lifting. Let's see here. I started just lifting at the local gym, actually in a boat storage, also with just buying gym equipment. Eventually, I found out I got with one guy, a kid named Adam Karanki, who's actually would always talk about a gym called Bad Attitude Gym. Bad Attitude Gym is actually inside of Hidden Gym.
Mm.
It's a crew of guys. So I trained with we went up to Carrollton at the time. This is before Bad Attitude got with Greg McCoy at Hidden. And we got up there and started training with other powerlifters. So we did that from, let's see here. Well, let's put it this way. I went from an 800-pound squat to a 1,200-pound squat in about a 2-year period.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so that was a game changer. Those guys live powerlifting, the conjugate method. You saw it on the videos. Those are the guys that were doing it. They live, breathe powerlifting. So that was the best element for me, especially in being an adult at that time. Now, as a kid, like I said, I did college powerlifting and stuff like that. Now I need to get to around stronger people. So like I said, I lived in the Sherman Denison area, which is 60 miles north of Dallas, or Carrollton at the time. That's where we were training at. And then, so we drive an hour to the gym 3 times a week. So we did that for a while. And then, of course, Bad Attitude ended up going from the place that we were at, eventually got with Greg McCoy, who at the time was had a Metroflex.
Mm-hmm.
Metroflex then went into Destination, and he had that for a while, sold that, then got recently back into another gym again with Hidden Gym, like what we're talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that kind of get where the training deal, but like lifting wise, from that time, from like I said, when I got with Bag until now, so 2008 till 2021 now, pretty much been all over the world for powerlifting, been to Russia, Bulgaria. We've been to all over the country for pro-ams, ESPN, all that kind of stuff, lifting. And then met a ton of people and also coached a whole lot of kids. I have a whole bunch of state national champion high school and collegiate lifters.
Well, this is a good segue for my next question because
Okay.
what I would like to hear from you with all the experience that you have is what are your advice for someone that is trying to get started with powerlifting?
Oh yeah, I actually had this conversation yesterday talking about the show of strength that's coming up at the Hidden Gym. What? So I always start off with a person. I said, okay, one, if the person's already in the gym, kind of going, don't know which way to go, and I'll tell them, I said, okay, well, look at it. If the meet is at the gym, you do the gym meet. That's pretty easy. It's right down. It's the place you train at. Hopefully, you have enough time to train. Like say, if you got 16 weeks, 2 months. Or just jump in the meet if you have been working out and just try to max out, because everybody tries to do a max lift, like a max bench press. Just do it, just kind of work on the rules and stuff like that, and then just jump into the meet and have fun with it. No expectations, kind of just like you're maxing out that day with a trophy. That I always pitch that to them. But whenever you start dealing with nationals and worlds, and you try to figure out, like, say, like my high school kids, I will tell them, I said, okay, so you're doing equipped lifting or raw lifting. If it's raw lifting, all you have to have is a singlet and a belt, and titty shoes and t-shirts, stuff like just
Yeah,
basic.
but let me
Now,
just step back a little bit because
oh,
I
sorry.
think you are already going to another level. Let me
Oh,
step back
sorry, I'm
and go
rambling.
to the foundation of something here. Let me step back and talk about foundation. I
Okay.
think that one of the key question, part of this question that I just asked about what to do to get started is not even before you start building the mindset of competing. What are some of the key exercise that ones need to do, and how frequent do I have to lift every day? How heavy should I go right in the beginning? Very basic tips that you could give for someone that wants to start powerlifting, because a lot of people, they work out the whole body, all body parts, right? For powerlifting, you
Yeah,
might not
yeah.
need that, right? So what they should focus on.
Okay. First, figure out the time of length. Like, say, if we're getting ready for a meet, so figure out the length of time that you want to train. So let's say you have 3 months to train for your meet, 2 months or whatever, just kind of go off that. But you want to pick 3 days a week. This is the easiest way of doing it, at least what you have a squat, because we're doing powerlifting, we're doing squat, bench, and deadlift. So let's just say Monday you do bench. I'm sorry, say Monday squats. We'll do squat on Monday. Wednesday we'll do bench, and then deadlift on Friday. You have the weekend off to do whatever you want to do, but do those 3 days. So whenever you do your, like say your squat day, do squat, work on your depth, work on your technique, work on other leg exercises like leg curls, leg press, leg extensions, do all the leg stuff, and work just like bodybuilding in a sense. So you do your lower body, but you would emphasize on squat that day, but you do everything that would support that. Bench press on Wednesday, you do work on your bench press, work on the pause, work on the commands, the rules and everything, and then work on your back, your shoulders, your triceps, just like your normal bodybuilding or general fitness workout. And then on deadlift, you work on your deadlift, and the same thing. Now that's a little tricky on that one. You do a little bit more back exercises, and then you would do just all the leg exercises like you would do on the squat day. Then you, like we're talking about the length of time, then you'd figure out, say, let's just say we broke it down to 3 months. 1 month you do sets of 10. The next month you do sets of 5. You do like say four sets of 10, 5 sets of 10 for 4 weeks for a month. The next month you do 5 sets of 5 for each one, squat, bench, and deadlift each day, each of the days. Do that for a month, pick a weight, and then gradually go up. And then on the third one, then you'd work on doing, say, 3 sets of 3. So you'd still do all your now your accessory work would change. You'd still keep your accessories around 4 sets of 10, 3 sets of 10, something like that. Just high volume that way, and then still get your cardio in and stuff like that. That'd be the simplest way to do it if you just didn't have anybody coaching you or anything, or just kind of a simple workout.
And you take Tuesday, Thursday, and the weekend off, or you do something?
Well, you could always add an extra day, like an extra bench day, like say a bodybuilding day where you don't bench, say just do like shoulder presses or something like that. But to get the person into the door and start going, those 3 generally work real well.
Okay, and
you can do 4 days, but I would always, if I can get 3 out of them, that's perfect.
And and you start building on that. Do you think that you should reach PR during training, or PR is something that you just hit during the meet?
Well, PRs you can do, say, like if you're doing like the 5 at 5, you can say your rep PR is 5. 5 with an X amount of weight. So let's say you're squatting 300 pounds and a set of 5 is your max. Then you just go off that and make that a PR. And then whenever you go, so then when you go to the 3 at 3, you want to do more than 300. You want to say do 330. So then you count that. And then after the meet's over, then you can take those numbers and then apply it again to set your PRs and your standards that way. So for a basic workout, then we start dealing with, that's the easiest way of putting it. You take those numbers, get your meet PR, then you take your percentages on how you want to do everything after your meet PRs or what you do at the meet, and then apply that again to your training again. So you cycle it out every time.
And for powerlift, is the nutritional program for powerlift is more around more carbs, more protein? Is it similar to bodybuilding, or is way more relaxed than that?
Well, it depends if you're trying to, because you have weight classes in powerlifting. Let's just say you're I'm a 275. The most I can weigh is 275. The lightest I can weigh is 243. Now I'm always right in the middle, so I don't usually. I try to eat a lot more protein because you're still trying to build muscle. You got to have carbs to, for energy. So it's not like bodybuilding when you have to really watch your calories and really increase protein, low carbs, stuff like that. But you kind of pretty much eat what you want, which is great about it.
Yeah.
But if you're a person trying to cut weight, and then that depends on that. So if you're like, okay, let's say like me, I'm in the middle of my weight class. So most people tell me to go down to the 242s or go lighter. The thing is, I'm strong at the weight class I'm at,
Right.
but most people I would suggest, let's say you're 4 pounds over a lighter weight class. Okay. Just cut out the fats, cut out just like you would in bodybuilding, just kind of trim it down, just cut the bad food you're eating, and then you can get down and add some cardio.
Do you feel weaker when you diet to do some weight, or that's why you prefer the weight class that you're in?
A lot of the reason I used to be, if you guys look at the old YouTube videos and stuff, I used to weigh about I'm right now 260, 265. I used to weigh about 330. I had get diabetes and health issues. So I had to drop weight for health reasons. So my blood sugar with insulin and everything else, it's hard for me to keep weight on. Now, if I don't eat 3 or 4 times a day, not like a bodybuilder. I mean, I'm like strongman. Strongman, those guys eat 10,000 calories a day. I don't do anything like that, but I got to make sure I have balanced meals and get food in, and then also watch my carbs and sugars, because then my sugar will spike. So that's the main reason why I'm at the weight class I am now. So at that it's just right now stuck at 265. I'd like to weigh heavier, but it's just too hard to put the weight on without having a health concern.
Right. But most of your PRs were when you were above 300 or now under 300?
Well, when I weighed over 300, that was around 2014. I squatted 1,300. Now I'm squatting like around at 260 at 1,200. So bench press is about the same. I'm in the mid eights. And then on the deadlift, it's around 750 or so. So it's about the same. So I've took the last, I guess, 6 to 8 years, or let's say 6 years. 6 years getting, I'm about as strong as I was when I was heavier.
Yeah.
So except the squat, of course, that's going to be, weighing 300 pounds helps on the squat because I'm just more mass. So, but yeah, so
But
I'm about the same.
proportionally, you are actually more strong now because, you weight less and you lift almost the same.
Oh yeah, pound for pound, and we'll talk about. There's a meet coming up that's WPO. It's all based off of coefficient or pound for pound. So yeah, it helps out a ton that I can lift as much as I did as a super and being 260. So.
And going back to that journey of someone that is starting, what is your recommendation on choosing the meat? Right, let's say that there is no meat available in my own gym. Which meat should I choose? More locals, like in the same area, more state level.
I would always tell everybody to start off at a regional or state meet. Figure out. I always also cost. That's the biggest thing, because I mean, you don't want to go broke your first meet. You want to be fun, less stress. So find something as with driving distance. I mean, you don't want to fly out to your first meet and then have a bad meet. You don't have that experience. So just try to find something that's within driving distance, and then also the cost of the meet. If you have to bring a friend with you, if you got to bring your family with you, it looks like kind of like a trip. You want to I always try to like the more bang for your buck in a sense. Try to get the cheapest trip you can and the best meet that you could kind of work, kind of like you would have picked a vacation, and then do the meet and then go from there. And then, like I said, like if the meet's not your local gym, try to find, and then read reviews, talk to people, what you like with the federation. There's so many different federations for powerlifting, but that's good though, because then you have some that are drug tested, some aren't. We're skill level, some are pros, some are amateur, kind of like bodybuilding is. I mean, you have certain ones that, you have the pro division, the amateur division, drug tested, not drug tested. So it has a different, whatever niche that fits you, there's something for it. So you just have to look online and just kind of type in powerlifting meets and go from there. I lift in pretty much every federation at some point, depending on what sponsor that's involved and that kind of deal. So I've lifted pretty much everywhere.
And and for the first meet, do you recommend equipped or raw?
Well, it depends what you train in. So most people, like say adults, like they get into it late, generally are raw lifters. Like if they're just working out in the gym, like say somebody that's, wants to be healthy and stuff like that. And then, just they're more going to be raw because it's going to be cheaper. Plus they're having in equipment. Like I was talking about the high school stuff. My kids all in high school all lift equipped because that's the sport. They don't have a raw division in high school. So in Texas high school, it's all equipped. So those kids generally float to equip because they have a background for it, 4 years of equipped lifting. So most people will end up doing raw which is I suggest that don't get into the gear unless you've trained in it, and then just do the raw meet. I would suggest doing the raw to answer your question. But most people, like I said, the kids and stuff are already 4 years deep in equipment, so they just keep doing equipment. But if you're new to it, more than likely you're going to do raw.
And just for the listeners that are not aware of the difference, can you explain the difference between raw and equipment?
Yes. Okay. So raw would be just like a t-shirt and a belt, just like you would wear in a normal, like anybody in the gym. You may wear wrist wrap, something like that, maybe knee wraps, or a knee sleeve. So you don't have anything like the bench shirts and the squat suits. The best, and this is kind of a funny way of explaining it. If you've ever wear a real tight or a small pair of blue jeans and then try to squat down and you about feel like you're going to rip it, you feel like you get kind of a rebound out of it in a sense. So you squat down, you're like, wow, I feel my jeans are tight. I kind of get a bounce out of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like a squat suit, except it's a wrestling singlet made out of a denim material or a heavy canvas material, or a poly. It's kind of it's not a soft material, so it's constrictive. So like when you squat down, you have to have X amount of weight to get down, depending on how tight the suit is. Tighter the suit, the more weight you have to go down. Same thing in the bench press and the deadlift. And then raw, of course, you're just wearing, like I said, just cotton t-shirt. Or a cotton singlet.
And based on your experience, how much more do you usually lift if you are equipped? Like 20% more, 30% more?
Well, if it's a new lifter, meaning green, like we just throw the shirt on the person, that's a tricky question, because if normally I would say if someone was saying, Henry, I want to get into geared lifting, like you just said, like what would you get out of it? I would say most people would get 50 pounds out of a bench shirt the first day. Within reason, if they're shown how to use it and stuff. Now, I'm a bad example. My raw bench is only about 400 pounds. So with the t-shirts, 400. I bench around 850 in a shirt. So I'll get her anywhere from like 450 pounds out of a bench shirt that a high school kid will wear. This is the same shirt that they wear, my kids wear. Mm-hmm. So I'm the extreme part of it, of course. But most people, if they get a shirt and they said, hey, I just bought a $200 bench shirt, what do you think I'll get out of it? Well, if you bench 300, you're probably going to bench 350 or 400, but you have to train in the equipment. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why I'm an old guy here. I'm 42. Actually, yesterday's my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah. Thank you. So, but I have 20 years of lifting in equipment. I've done raw competitions before, but I'm better in the gear than I am the raw. Yeah. So I just stuck with that.
Because there is a lot of technique when you are doing with equipment, right? You have to feel extremely comfortable. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to lift anyway.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you can't expect to throw a shirt on and then, like yesterday, I was benching. We're working on hitting openers for the meet coming up, and I was doing 800 pounds. If I didn't work on holding the weight or building up to the weight and then working on technique, I'd never would touch the weight. That's the tricky part. 800-pound bench press, you're like, well, heck, you should be able to touch it.
Yeah.
Well, no, once you get down to about 3 or 4 inches, it's tight as crap, and you might black out. You might, you have to lift your legs a certain way. That's where the technique comes in. Mm-hmm. Versus being raw, when you just go down, it's just you.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more technique with arching, like on the bench press. Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff with bench press, but squat at time and your speed and everything to get down.
Now, powerlifting, just like strongman, is very tough type of sport, mainly on the joints. And you as a above 40 person, athlete above 40, do you ever have problems on your joints? And if not, what do you do to preserve, protect, and recover?
Okay. Well, the biggest thing is, like we're talking about the equipment. I've been wearing equipment now I do lift raw, like we were talking about those workouts like squat, bench, and deadlift on those days. Certain cycles or certain weeks I will lift without the gear, and then when we get closer to a meet, I'll put on the gear and start training that way. So 20 years, and I've lifted in maybe 250 powerlifting meets, which is unheard of. I mean, there's nobody still alive right now has ever done that. So I'm kind of the extreme part again, being in the equipment. So the joint thing, with the wraps, the suits, actually have saved my joints quite a bit. I've had a couple of injuries with, like, say, some cartilage issues in my knees, but I think that's more or less just being 40-something years old, squatting forever. Mm-hmm. Now, rehab or rest is just try to, like, not do too much volume when it starts aggravating. Mm-hmm. When it hurts, stop. Whenever it's good, lift. Ice baths, heat, ice, that just the normal stuff like that, and ibuprofen. I don't do a whole lot of I used to go to a chiropractor 20 years ago. I just stretch and ice. That's really it. and then just try to be real selective on what. I don't do any stupid lifts anymore. I mean, I still do stupid lifts, but I mean, it's more, I've done them before so many times. I know for the meet coming up with the WPO coming up, trying to, we've done everything that was dumb, was not do that, do it was good, and kind of make the smart try. So, and then what's the most safe, most reward out of it? I mean, most benefit for me and safer. So,
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. So you never really had any major injury throughout those 20 years of lifting.
I've had a couple, like say just aches and pains and stuff like that. Oh no, I'll take that back. I did tear my quad a little bit. We had a couple of, we were getting ready for a meet in St. Petersburg, Russia, and we had 3 small tears that swelled my leg up, but that was just kind of a freak deal actually. So, but actually I get more beat up from work or doing stuff outside of weightlifting. So
but when you had that one, did you tear while squatting?
No, actually I was warming up on deadlift with like 315.
Oh.
I felt like something tied to my leg, and I went and stretched it again. And then, oh no, I'll take that back. I felt something it just felt weird. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll just go stretch more. I kind of got in a rush when I started. So I was squatting and deadlifting that day. And then my first squat with I was doing a thing called a box squat, and I had I didn't even have a suit on. I was raw. I was just warming up raw, just t-shirt, shorts. And I think it was like a slap. And I'm like, okay, we're done for the day. So it started up. We went out to eat after the workout, and then I'm kind of like, it just kind of feels like I, tweaked something. Next day, my leg was 3 times big and then bruised up from all the blood and everything. So I had an MRI. 28. We actually healed the leg up in 28 days, which my doctor said it was crazy that I pulled that off. But they weren't big enough. After the MRI, it was just small tears. So it's just maybe because of working all the time, because I am on my feet 10, 12 hours a day. Well, that job that I was doing 16-hour days. So I would do that and then go train. So a lot of it is, the lifting could have been it. I'm sure it was, but also too, being on my feet all the time, working that way. So, I mean, there's, the 2 things I've had to change a whole lot with jobs and lifting everything so I can recover more. But that one took about 20 days. We healed it up and then got ready for Russia. So
that's awesome. That's very interesting that you did this with not so much weight, because usually some injuries are doing more pressure. So with that, do you do any type of routine, warm-up routine before you start lifting? Do you stretch before, or do you stretch only after?
Oh, no, do both. It's okay, squat, bench, and deadlift, or all 3 of them. I'll do a normal routine. I'll go do the normal stretches, like touch hamstrings, quads, roll out on a roller, stuff like that, depending on, where I'm stiff at. And then if it's a bench day, I have a lot of, I'll do like a little circuit, like lat pulls, shoulder presses, get some blood flow, battle rope, or and then on like a squat day, I'll start doing lunges, or I'll just kind of do some leg movements. Maybe if my lower back's tight, I'll get on a thing called a reverse hyper and loosen up my back that way. And then of course plenty of warm up sets. My warm up sets will actually beat up most people. 3 plate, 4 plate, 5 plate. Then we put a suit on, and then it's like 6 plate, 7 plate, 8 plate.
So from 1 to 5 is just warm up.
Yeah. Most people can't make it through the squat workout. And these are sets of 3 to 5, and they're
that's crazy. 5 plates for warm up. That's incredible.
Oh yeah, and then sit into a 12-inch box. Yeah. So sitting down to a box, sitting back up. Yeah.
Going back to that journey of someone that is just started and they are planning to do their first meet, there is anything in particular that you would warn them about it? What should they be watching as they are there, right? Because there is a lot of adrenaline going on. There is a lot of people that gets nervous and suddenly they just can't lift. What are some of the advice that you can give on this, on the meet day?
Yeah. Okay. Always a guy named Sean Dunnigan. He's one of the guys who founded Bad Attitude Gym over at Hidden, or he's at the gym's at Hidden. He always told me, think before you do anything. Do one step. Like example, we're talking about the warm ups. If you're going to get your suit on, or if you're going to get your wraps on, if you're going to do anything, do it one step before. I have a list laminated for him. It says, what time to do this, what time to do that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Just so he has that checklist. You can look at it like, okay, it's 9:00. I got to get under the bar. I got to warm up. I got to start doing my my 10-8-6 reps. I gotta eat. Then he said, then eat, then poop, wash my hands, then come back, stretch. I mean, if that makes it easier for you, do it. And it works great. I mean, he knows the routine. I just do it to be funny more than anything now. But I mean, it does help him in case I'm not there to coach him. He has that list. And same thing, his dad has it, and his mom has it. Everybody knows his routine. So when he's up there, and then when he's on the platform, like I said, someone that gets nervous, just sit there and think. The good thing is, like, having a meet in your gym, that's great. But I mean, if you get nervous, just slow down, take your time. You have 1 minute. Most federations will have a 1 minute clock. So just, we're starting off with an easy. There you have 3 attempts in powerlifting. So the first one, just start off easy. Take your time, get under the bar, squat, and just there you go. Once you get the first one in, it's easy after that.
Yeah. No.
But moves and stuff like that, it's just think before you do it. Visual. I mean, in your training, just stick with your training. Don't worry about anybody else. Don't think like, oh, that kid over there is doing this, or this guy's doing that, or just you're there to beat your record. Stick to the plan. If you stick to the plan, you'll be good.
Yeah.
If you get outside the plan, then you're gonna panic and you don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, that's a great advice. So worry about what you have to do, and that's something that happens a lot. People worry about what someone else is doing, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've had, like I said, the kid thing. I've been in that trap before, thinking like, oh crap, he got that. That means I got to do more weight. Well, not necessarily. Just stick to the plan. You usually have your plan for the entire meet, so you know who you're at. A bigger meet, you already, like a nationals or a world or a pro meet, something that you travel to. Not a local meet. Local meet, you really don't know who. You may have somebody in the gym you're lifting against, but you really don't know who's going to lift at a local meet. Mm-hmm. A national meet, everybody has to pre-qualify, so you know the list. So you already know what your capabilities are. So it's like talking about Jerry, he's going to squat. We're not going to go heavier than 650. We're not going to bench more than 400. We're not going to deadlift more than 700. So those are we're capped off. So it's like, those are your 3 attempts. That's what we're going to do. If something messes up, we'll cut it in half, or we'll go to plan B. So as long as you have A, B, and C, like set a plan, you just stick with that. And if the person's good with it, you're good with it. Now, if you go in there, it's just like, we're going to lift till we can't see straight anymore, that doesn't really help.
Right.
You.
Have you ever been
so you're just going to be hit.
Have you ever been on a situation where you look at the list of competitors and you were like, oh crap, these guys lift way heavier than me, but I'm gonna go anyway and see how it goes?
Yeah, actually, like I said, that Russia trip was that one when we went to live in St. Petersburg. All those guys are animals. And same thing with the WPO that's coming up. It's that's in August, which is a pro meet. I'm ranked now number 5 going into it, but I got 4 guys ahead of me that, I got the best all-time lifter there. I got Dave Hoff, who's hit over a 3,000 pound, 100 pounds total. So he's the all-time great. We're doing. We have to hope that he messes up to win. So we know that going into it, and then everybody else in there are all legit pros. I mean, they're not. You mess up, you lose. So there's not any room for error. So I mean,
you brought up a good point. You mess up, you lose. What usually leads someone to mess up in the meeting like that? I mean, because if you are so used to lift that heavy, is just like bad luck, or is you have a weak mindset, or it's not your day?
Well, yeah, that's not your day. That's a lot of it with the gear lifting, because a lot of these guys are keeping weight on the equipment. Remember I was saying the tights, if the suit's tighter, you have to have more weight to get down. So like we're talking about like I was talking about the bench press, my raw bench is 400, but I bench around the 800s in my shirt. Let's just say like I said, my health issues. Let's say I dropped 6 pounds the day of the meet. Let's say I didn't eat or something happened and I'm 5 pounds lighter. My gear's loose. That happens a lot. Guy will go in there,
good point.
Weight, and now his equipment doesn't fit. Now, if you have 3 or 4 shirts, and I've learned to have a whole backpack of equipment. It's funny. You'll go there and think it's laundry day when I'm lifting. I have 2 laundry baskets of equipment I use. So in case I go small, medium, or large. So the being light's one thing, but also being too heavy, because everybody wants to be as heavy as they can because of more water in their body, hydrated, and stuff like that. Let's say you gain 4 pounds. Now the suit's too tight and you can't get down.
Right.
You can't hit depth on the squat. You can't break parallel. And the bench press you can't touch. So those happens too. So in the meets that I'm coming up now, the WPO, that happens. I mean, it's happened to me. I've gotten to a meet and I've dropped 10 pounds the week before the meet with being sick. And then my equipment fits and I can't lift anything, at least not the number that I wanted. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and then most people at those big meets, the pro.
And you probably felt, right? As soon as you put the suit, you were like, oh crap, it's not as tight as it's supposed to.
Yeah, see, and if you only have one suit, you're screwed. So like on me, I have multiple suits now. I have a small, medium, large. If I'm fat, I go to this one. If I'm skinny, this one. So that's advantage. But if you only have one suit, and I mean, you're kind of, and you didn't train at that body weight, you're gonna have a problem. So that's one of the hard things about equip lifting.
Yeah.
See, so I mean, now what you have to do is be humbled. Like, okay, now don't panic and say like, okay, my suit's loose in the warm ups, and I'm not feeling it. Drop your opener 50 pounds. So a lot of guys won't do that. So they get in the equip lifting. They're like, well, I'm going to open up at 800. Well, man, the suit's loose. It's not doing anything. You don't look good. Drop it to 700, or drop 100 pounds off it. Something you can, stay in the meet so you don't bomb out. You bomb out, you can't, they won't let you do the next event. So you're out of it. So
it's about having a good strategy and know how to respond in those cases that you have those adversities.
Yes. Yeah.
So that is a good strategy. Basically, having a good strategy.
No, I do it. I mean, like I said, you'll see me have 3 bags of equipment. If I get up there and I'm like, that's a warm ups, that suit's not fitting, we'll change a suit. Now, most people won't do that because they're like, just stick with the suit. And I'm like, no, because this reason, we didn't, it's not this, or maybe a suit rips. I mean, that's another. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, you just got to have that. That has to be part of the plan.
Now, just to wrap up, what will be your advice to these people that are coming up on powerlifting as far as becoming stronger? Should they progressively load the bar? How do you actually gain? Because you told that you went from 800 to 1200 on squat in 2 years. What was your What was your strategy? Were you pushing really hard every day, or it was more like, no, I'm gonna add 10 pounds in each workout? What did you do?
Yeah, the guys that I trained with pretty much had it down. With there's different training methods, different strategies, and stuff like that. We used a conjugate method. That's a whole other show. Mm-hmm. But what they did, they already had a map on. You work on your technique, you work on your weak points. So technique, find someone stronger, someone that's more experienced, so they can work on your technique. The part of getting heavier and stuff like that, that's going to go with the technique. So if your technique's good, you can go heavier. If someone's stronger than you, they already know kind of idea, like the bar's slow, you lighten the weight so you can go faster with it. You want to keep the bar moving quick. If you're grinding everything out, you're never going to get stronger. You're just going to get slower, and slower means weaker. So as long as your mindset, your technique, the bar moves quick, gradually add weight. If you then figure, like I say, get around people that know more, that can tell you your advice to do that, then set it that way. That's how I got from the 8 to 1200. Was I was around people that saw that ahead of time, like, okay, these are your weak points. Your back's weak, your hip's weak. Let's add exercises to do that. Let's back off on this weight. Let's do more volume. Add, just the different ways of tweaking it around. But it's technique and bar speed. As long as you work on that and then get around strong people, you'll get stronger.
Yeah, that's a great advice, because nowadays, mainly with YouTube and people trying to learn things on their own, they usually ignore technique.
Yeah, they want to see what it looks like on video and get a pat on their back. But yeah, you got to. And I have people all the time look at all my YouTube videos and they'll try to mimic it. And I'm like, man, just go back to basics, work on your technique, then just gradually go up on weight. If you're doing a box squat, go to a lower box, higher box. Don't be if you're ashamed of it, don't post it.
Yep.
Just work on your technique. I mean, you can always post it later or have a good camera angle, one of the two.
Yeah.
But if you're embarrassed with it, just train, and then just whenever you're meet, then put your meet videos up and go from there. So
yeah, Henry, that was a great conversation. Thank you very much for taking the time to give all those advice and everything. It was very nice to hear from someone that evolved so much on this sport and being a warrior for 20 years. That's amazing.
Thank you. It's great to be on the show.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much for your audience. Stay tuned on Unleash Podcast. We have much more to come.